Use the table of integrals on reference pages 6 through 10 to evaluate the integral. Okay, first, let's go ahead and rewrite this integral in substituting form. So what I mean by that is it's going from 2 to 3, and we have 1 over, okay, you can see what we're squaring here, and we have x squared times, underneath the radical sign, what do we have to square to get 4x squared? Well, that is 2x. So 2x squared is going to give us 4x squared. Minus, what do you have to square to get 7? Well, that would be the square root of 7. So the square root of 7 squared is what's going to give us that result. Okay, so now we can decide what we can let u equal. Okay, so we can let u equal the substitution, which is 2x over here. So for this next step, we're going to let u equal 2x, and therefore du is going to equal 2dx. Divide both sides by 2, you get 1/2 du, which is equal to dx. Okay, now we're going to use the integral. Going from 2 to 3, 1 over x squared. So we need to figure out what x squared is. So we need to use this substitution to solve for x. So we have 2x, which is equal to u. Divide both sides by 2, you have 1/2 u. And then if we square both sides to get x squared, well then x squared is going to equal 1/2 u squared. So now we can substitute x squared, and let's go ahead and write this down just a little further here. Right, so we know that we have 1 over x squared times the radical 2x squared minus the square root of 7 squared dx. And let's go ahead and use our substitution. So using our substitution, we're going to get the following. Okay, we know that we have 1 over, well, we know that x squared is equal to 1/2 u squared times the square root of, well, we know that u is equal to 2x, so that means this is going to be u squared. And then we can say minus, well, we can just rewrite this now as the square root of 7 squared is just 7, since it's a constant, and then times du, which is dx, which is 1/2 du. And then we need to change our upper and lower bounds. So we know that u is equal to 2x, which is equal to 2 times 3, which is equal to 6. Over here, again, u is equal to 2x, which is 2 times 2, which is equal to 4. Okay, so now let's go ahead and then take a look at this scenario here. So we have 1/2, and we're going to square that, which becomes 1/4. And the reciprocal of 1/4 is going to be 4 over 1. So we're factoring out that constant right here. Okay, which means that we're going to have, again, 4 to 6. And so far we have 1 over, we're going to square the u. Okay, and now we have this constant, this 1/2, we need to factor out. So that's going to be 1 over 2. And then this is going to be times the square root of u squared minus 7 du. Okay, so now we're almost done. We just need to simplify this 4 divided by 2. And that 4 divided by 2 is just going to give us 2. So now we have 2, and then we're going to go from 4 to 6, 1 over u squared times the square root of u squared minus 7 du. And now we need to find this type of form using the tables, okay, meaning the table of integrals. So can we find one that has something similar to this? So let's go and take a look. So we're looking for u squared times the square root of u squared minus 7. So we're looking for something that's similar to that. Okay, so this has a plus. Here is u times the square root of u squared minus a squared. So it's not that one. So let's take a look and see if we can go a little further. Okay, here's one right here where we have du over u squared times the square root of a squared minus u squared. But in this scenario, you can see that the constant's written first. So let's scroll down a little further. Okay, now over here you can see that we have du over u squared times the square root of u squared minus a squared, which is equal to the following. So it looks like we can use 45. So let's go ahead and then match 45 with what we have there to see how that works. Okay, so using 45, right, we have 1 over u squared times the square root of u squared minus 7. So the next step is where we're going to use the integral of 45, and then we can see that a squared is going to equal 7 in our problem, because that's what that is right here. So now let's go ahead and then write this out. So we have 2 times the square root of u squared minus 7 over a squared, which is 7 times u, going from 4 to 6. And now let's go ahead and evaluate that. So we have 2 times, the first one is the square root of 6 squared minus 7 over 7 times 6 minus the square root of 4 squared minus 7 over 7 times 4. So let's go ahead and evaluate that even more. So we have 2 times, well, 6 squared is 36 minus 7 is 29. So we have the square root of 29 over 7 times 4, which is 42, minus 4 squared is 16, and 16 minus 7 is 9, and that's all over 7 times 4, which is 28. So then we would get the following. Distribute the 2. We have 2 times the square root of 29 over 42 minus 2 times the square root of 9 over 28. So we know that 2 goes into 42 21 times, so that's the square root of 29 over 21. 2 goes into 28 14 times. The square root of 9 is 3, so that's 3 over 14. Or if we wanted to, we can go a little further, but we'll leave it as it is, and therefore this is our result.